Have you ever picked up your kids from school one day and as they hop in the car, you can just tell it wasn't a good day? Perhaps there was a test that didn't go well, or they forgot to turn in an assignment, got a bad grade, and now they've got to face the government, aka you, about their poor scores. There's just this poor mood that has overtaken them over the course of the day, and because they are a loved one and you spent many times around them, you can kind of sense this mood without them even really having to say a word. Well, the markets are similar in that the more time you spend around the markets, you can get a sense of what the mood of the market is like. Now today I want to show you a very simple tool that can help shape and determine the mood of the market without having to be an expert. And this is one of the simplest tools that you can add into your arsenal when it comes to looking for trading ideas on the charts. So let's dig into the charts. We're taking a look here at the Dow Jones Industrial Average. And so again, we're going to be using trend lines. So you might be wondering, well, what is a trend line? A trend line is simply what it states. It's a line where you're going to connect the highest highs or all the highs, and then you're going to connect all the lows. And based off of that, you'll be able to determine a trend or the mood of the market. So when the trend is up, it doesn't matter if you try to sell, the opportunities are going to be made to the upside in that trend. When the trend is down, doesn't matter how much you want to buy, the opportunities are going to be made in selling in a down market. So taking a look here at the Dow Jones Industrial Average, we're going to pull up the trend line tool, which here in this TradingView software is going to be this straight line that is in a diagonal. So we click on it to activate it, and I'm going to connect the lows of the market from the low we saw in April, and I'm actually connecting it to this low that we've seen here. Now since then, recent times, Dow Jones has sold off and has dropped below this market. But pretty much from April all the way through till early September, Dow Jones has been in an uptrend. And you could easily tell that by taking a look at the chart and seeing, all right, prices are above this upward sloping trend line. So it's an uptrend. And therefore, when you go out and you look at the opportunities to buy, those opportunities are going to be better than those opportunities to sell. So for example, if we take a look here at this reaction to the upside on Dow Jones, okay, the movement to the upside was a lot greater than the movement to the downside. Again, the movement to the upside a lot greater than the movement to the downside, and then the upside a lot greater. So you want to follow the mood of the market, because otherwise it would be like trying to load the dishwasher, trying to do an act of kindness for your wife, and then they get on your case because you put the bowls on the top shelf of the dishwasher instead of putting them on the bottom shelf of the dishwasher. So you're trying to do something nice for them, but you end up getting kind of scolded a little bit for that. So same thing with the market. If you're trying to sell in an up market, you're going to get your hand bitten a little bit. So Dow Jones Industrial Average, we have dropped below this line. And an interesting thing about trend lines as well is it can also provide areas of entry. So once prices have broken down below this trend line, it came back up and touched the underside of the trend line. This is very common, very normal. And then from there, prices have begun to peel away lower. So if I were to provide an analysis for Dow Jones Industrial Average, I would say this is in a down market. The mood is to the downside. Now, let's go out and let's take a look at another form of trend lines on a shorter time frame chart. Let's take a look at a 30-minute chart, and let's take a look at price channels. So here we're looking at the recent price action since the high in early September on Dow Jones. And I want to add a price channel, which can be found in TradingView in the same area where the trend line was found. It's called parallel channel. So I click on it. Now there's 3 clicks in order to create the parallel channel in TradingView. I'm going to click up here at the high. Let's try this again. There we go. I'm going to click up here at the high to draw my first line. So there's my second click. That creates the line. And then my third click is where I'm going to be stretching this out in order to encompass all of the price action. Okay, so by zooming in on this, we can tell that the price action, the mood of the market, is to the downside, and so therefore we can continue to look for selling opportunities. Any rallies are likely going to be sold and possibly even completely retraced. So when looking at this chart, one area where possibly maybe an entry to sell could be if prices rally back up, and they don't have to, but perhaps prices might rally back up into this resistance zone, and if they do, this might create an opportunity for which to sell. So anywhere between now and up here around 27,000, 27,500 is going to be a zone where one could look to initiate a sell transaction as this price behavior looks to continue to move to the downside. Now, another factor that is bleeding over into Bitcoin, let me zoom out here for a minute, is I'm going to put an overlay. I'm sorry, another factor that is influencing Dow Jones is Bitcoin. So I'm overlaying Bitcoin here on this chart. We can see that the Dow Jones Industrial Average and Bitcoin have more or less been moving together in lockstep. So if one is rallying, the other is rallying. If one is selling off, the other is selling off. So we've already established that the mood of the market for Dow Jones is to the downside and that there's more losses likely on its way. A forecast that I've provided through another avenue is that we're looking at maybe 22 to 24,000 as that first area of target, and then there's even much lower levels coming, perhaps 18,000, maybe even 15,500. So this mood of the market could be quite damaging for Dow Jones, and if we've got a down market for Dow Jones, then we're probably looking at a down market for Bitcoin, at least for the time being, because ever since the March 2020 collapse, Bitcoin and Dow Jones have been moving more or less in lockstep with one another. And so as you can see, they are definitely correlated. So let me pause the Bitcoin overlay and let's actually go out and take a look at the Bitcoin chart and see what we can learn about its trend. Okay, so here we are taking a look at Bitcoin. One thing that stands out to me is we have lower highs, lower lows. The mood of this market is definitely to the downside. So I'm going to go out, I'm going to collect my my price channel tool, and I'm going to create this price channel. Now, I could drop the low of this price channel at this lowest point that we saw in late August. And you can see that the current price has come up and has bumped the midline of that price channel. But even if I extend it down here towards the bottom, you can see that that low that we saw in August acted as a midline as well. And prices have just poked up above it as well. So Bitcoin may rally a little bit further, but just like Dow Jones may rally a little bit further. But the rally in Dow Jones appears to be somewhat limited. Bitcoin, the rally also appears to be somewhat limited. Maybe it makes itself up to 11,400. I'm not convinced that it may go that high. When we zoom in on this chart, one thing that stands out to me, I think Bitcoin's probably going to hold below 11,200. One thing that stands out to me, at least for the time being, I think eventually Bitcoin's going to go screaming higher, and it's going to be a lot higher than what it is now. But at least in the short term, I think that Bitcoin, we're maybe seeing some additional softness coming. From an Elliott wave perspective, we've got this impulse wave lower. Okay, now this is an impulse wave to start a new trend, and so therefore after a partial retracement higher, we're likely going to see another move lower of similar size to this. So this move went from about 11,200 down to about 10,000, let's say 200 to make the math simple. So that's about 1,000 Bitcoin points, and so I think what we'll see here is a partial retracement higher. and then a move back down to the downside. That would end up stretching down below this low. So here's an idea again where we can use trend lines, we can use price channels to help us determine the mood of the market, and then what that does is that helps frame the market for us, gives us a bias of which we can go out and look at the market and look for opportunities in the direction of that bias, because we don't want to get caught trying to load the bowls in the top shelf of the dishwasher when they really should be on the bottom shelf of the dishwasher. And trend lines will help keep the market straight for you in determining the mood of the market. So that's all I have for today. If you like this video and want to see more like them, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up down below, leave me a comment, and we look forward to talking with you soon. Y'all take care. Bye now.